I was late to that meeting and I missed the bomb. So.
All right, you're good to go.
Okay. All right. So what I have, first of all, the development committee, we had submitted a development to the development committee to be part of the vote for what they would support, or support this year. We did not, our development that we submitted for acquisitions was not the one selected to be sponsored by Koha-US. So I wanted to, first of all, say that, and then just come see what kinds of ideas people had for ways to raise money for this development, because it's not a cheap development. One idea is to add it to the to Bywaters development page, and let me see if oh, there it is. I pulled it up, and I don't know how many people are familiar with this. I gotta figure out how to share my screen. There we go. Oops, and then you gotta click share. Okay, so on the ByWater site, I don't know if you're ByWater, if you're supported by ByWater or not, but there is a development crowdsourcing page that ByWater has put up. And what we could do with our development is add it, there's an acquisitions page, and there are two acquisitions developments here. And we could ask ByWater to add that to our development to this page, and then each of us, so for example, this printing slips and acquisitions, if we look at the details of this, we can see that it's a $4,000 development, and it's raised $0 and has 0 supporters. But if we put it on this development page, all of the libraries that are interested could put in their pledge amounts here, and that way, it's an easier way to track. Like if we want to put in, $100, and somebody else wants to put in $500, and somebody else wants to put in $50 toward this development, we can track it all here. And once the in this case, it would be $4,000 gets reached, then ByWater would start work on it. That is an idea for that. The other thing to kind of be aware of is that, oh, thanks, Margaret, for putting that link in there. The development committee is kind of regrouping and thinking about their process and trying to maybe come up with some smoother ways of supporting developments. And if you go to the, if you go to the Koha-US development committee page, you'll see a list of the current sponsored development. Well, let's just show people instead of imagining it. Let's see if I can find it first.
I just posted the link for you.
I'm sorry?
I just put the link in the chat for everyone.
Okay. Okay, super. And so then I will just do this. Okay. So I'll just share my screen so everybody can see. is. But this is, if you go to koha-US.org/developments, this is shows the current collaboration workflow, which this is kind of what we're looking at redoing. But then over here, we've got developments in progress. So this is the one that got the most votes in our latest voting. Completed developments, we are still attempting to take a development all the way through the process. And then past proposed developments. So this one right here is the one that we proposed for that. So it is here. It might get attention this way. Not so much, not so sure that it will, but if somebody's looking for something to work on, they might come here to look at it. And the ones with the asterisks at the back end of them are the ones that have been resolved by the community. Somebody just came in and worked on it. So what I'm thinking, unless somebody has well, I guess we can always put, ask to have our development put on the devs page, but I don't know if anybody's got another idea about how we could raise money short of a bake sale to get our development out there and moving a little bit. So,
has this been brought up to Koha-US fundraising committee?
Not the fundraising committee. No, that's an idea. We could do that.
I think they're busy fundraising for Koha-US, but it'd be interesting to see what ideas might come up for. This development wasn't voted on, but what other strategies, places they could be used. So I like this dev, and I feel like a few libraries that aren't using acquisitions for, reasons,
Right.
like there isn't enough, it's not robust enough. Maybe they're not using acquisitions in Koha, they're not using Koha because it's not robust enough. So there's potential for it to be tied into I know ByWater does this and possibly some other Koha support companies do. If it's part of the go live contract sort of thing. There are some developments on the community that somebody signed a contract to get Koha hosting and support with ByWater, conditioned on this feature getting added and available to them when they go live. So sometimes that happens.
Yeah, I think we had that. We had a couple things that we said we had to have. I think acquisitions was one of them, something up and running.
So if you're talking to other libraries that haven't moved to Koha yet, that really care about their acquisitions, you could talk up a few of these developments to them.
There you go. Okay.
All the more reason to talk to your neighborhood other librarians about Koha.
That's right. That's right. Yes, definitely. So yeah, that is actually two good ideas. Talk to the fundraising committee and see if they have, they like to have what they have said before is, like they had Koha, I can't never say this right, Koha-a-thon, and it's easier to raise funds if you've got something specific that you're raising funds for. So if we gave them, hey, next time you have a fundraising activity, maybe they want to have 3 or 4, developments that people could say, yeah, I want, toward acquisitions, or I want toward, whatever, cataloging, or, but that they would consider promoting our development as part of that. So I think that would be a really good, I think that the function that we have is just really, all kinds of libraries could use this function in order to get things going there. So okay, so that's, anybody have any other ideas on ways to raise?
The only other thing, I mean, things
Mhm.
that have worked in the past for us, sort
Yeah.
of. I would get it on the Dove's site for sure, and then share that out on like the partners list, and
Okay.
other places where you could say, "Hey, we want to get this rolling. Can you contribute?" That kind of thing.
Okay.
I agree with that because we've had some put on the crowdfunding site, but it still, you know, it still kind of took me to put some messages out there to say, you know, is there anybody out there that has, you know, interest or money or could partner or something like that. I think also there was, this seems like it's a long time ago, and it might have been part of the fundraising committee, but because I'm thinking it was Todd, but ByWater sent out a couple emails at one point and said, you know, here's some devs, and you know, you might want to go look at these interesting things. And it's a long time ago, but I remember it was like, okay, yeah, I'll go look at that crowdsourcing page again. And so it got me to go look there.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe some targeted emails or something.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea.
And to circle back on Rhonda's idea about a bake sale, I don't know that we'd have a bake sale, but there are a few friends in the library groups that will chip in for some things. So maybe if you know of the Friends of the Library that's really acquisitions interested in getting new materials for the library, I don't know, see if they can put together another bake sale with the proceeds going to improved acquisitions developments. This one would be great, but you know, across the board.
Yes. Yes, friends are wonderful. That's who pays for all of our developments. We have a line item in their budget that, you know, each year we can spend on developments. We're playing catch up for all the ones we put in for when we first went live, but we will eventually. I was just looking at it today. I think we're down to 5 that we need to pay for, and then we'll get out there and do some more requesting of development. So, okay, yeah, that's definitely a good idea. And hey, if you want to have a bake sale to raise money for this, I won't stop you. It's all good. All spends. Okay. Now let's see. Oh, I wanted to revisit as far as the old business goes. I'm going to move on to the next thing. We had some discussion earlier, like in months and months ago, about blanket POs and how to do those. I don't know if anybody's had a chance to look through the document that was on the listserv or Google Groups or whatever it's called. But I'd like to get some discussion going on this too, maybe on the group, not necessarily here, but just to kind of think about what kinds of things, you know, do people do currently with the function that's in Koha, and maybe what's some function, you know, a development that we could have added that would enhance this blanket PO. Because again, this is one of those fundamental functions of acquisitions that I think it would be really fantastic if we could get something in Koha to, what's the word I need, you know, just to smoothly, you know, obviously, you know, this is how you process a PO, instead of, oh yeah, and then you stand on your left foot and then you raise your right hand and that kind of stuff, you know, is kind of how we're working through some of these things now. So I don't know, does anybody have any thoughts? I know I didn't give anybody a real chance to go over this again, but yeah, I guess I'll just put it out there as something to think about, and maybe over the next month we can chat on the, I'll start something on the chat to get it going, or the Google group, and see what kinds of things people do to process open POs now. This document that was out there was really, shows what one library currently does, but we can get see if we can get some other ideas and maybe come up with something nice. And if you're wandering past some other ILS and you want to see what they've implemented, and see what you like about it, what you don't like about it, or if you've used it in the past on another ILS, that you can bring in some of those ideas too as well. So those are all ideas that, just to get new function into Koha for acquisitions to make it more robust. We've got the groundwork in, I think, good, but there's definitely features that we can add to make it much more user-friendly and just give it more function. Any thoughts on that anybody wants to share right now?
Well, I'm excited to learn how to start a new budget year in Koha.
Okay, me too. I know. All right, so yeah, one of the things that I know that when we were new to Koha, we had no idea how to, well, when we were new to Koha, we kind of got our budget set up through training. And then it came to that first year where we had to roll over to the next new budget, and pretty much we did everything wrong. I think we screwed it up every possible way you could. So in an effort to help other people not do what we did, I thought we could kind of do a simple, I don't know what, what I was thinking is I would go to, and I think I had it open here somewhere. Go to, yes. Okay. So what I did, rather than mess up our budgets on our system, I thought what I would do is go to the ByWater demo, which eventually koha-US will have a ByWater, or not, a Koha instance to use for training and stuff like that. But for now, this is the best I could come up with, short of, like I said, messing up our budgets. So basically, I'm going to work from the assumption that you had a budget before, and now now it's a new fiscal year, and we're going to roll over to the next year. So if you go to acquisitions and then budgets, so we have in this Koha demo site, we've got this 2016 budget, and we've got the part that I want to show specifically is we've got a couple of things that are on order, or, been ordered in the 2016 year and not received yet. So that's kind of what I want to make sure you see. So in order to start this, the first thing that we need to do is, I am going to, yes, budgets, new budget. So we are going to first create a new budget. So required is a start date, an end date, and a description. The start date and end date they don't prevent you from using it outside of those dates. They're just to let you know what this budget is for. So in this case, I think I looked at the 2016 budget. So it was from January to December. So let's just make up one from January of 2021. Yeah, let's just do 20. Because what do they say? The points don't matter and all that kind of stuff. Or whose line is it anyway? All right, so I'm going to make this from January 1 to December 31st year, and we will just call this year, or no, we'll call it 2020 budget. Now, you can put a total amount in, or you can change this later. I think the 2016 budget was like $1 trillion or something like that. We'll just go with $1 million here. So now, this make budget active, you can click that now. A lot of times what we do is we create this budget before it's time to actually go live, start with it. But it'll be very close to when we're going to go with it. So I'm just going to say, yeah, we'll make it live, and I don't want to lock the budget. So I'm going to save this. And now you can see we've got the 2016 budget and we've got the 2020 budget. Don't have quite as much, 100 trillion is what I did. Yeah. So anyway, so 100 million, sorry, I can't, I'm always off by a factor of 10. So the next thing that we want to do, like I showed you here, is we want to close this budget year. And so the way we do that is we come back here, go to the budget line, and select close. So now it will show me, the other thing that we did is we had a couple of invoices that were still open from the year that we were closing. Don't do that. That's not fun, because then you've got to go back and find all those and close them and then individually change all of them. It's not good. So make sure all the invoices for your the budget year that you are closing, make sure all those invoices are closed or your rollovers won't work. We discovered that. So we have one unreceived item in fiction and one unreceived item in nonfiction. So what this is going to do is change the back up. Forgot to say something before. When you create a new budget, if you just duplicate it like we did, then all the fund names and everything will be the same. If the only way this rollover will work is if you have the same fund in your new budget. It doesn't have to be in the same structure, like parent, child, and all that kind of stuff, but you need the same fund name in the new budget in order for this to work. So we can see here, we've got our 2020 budget. So that's where we want these things to now show up in. We want them, we're going to be using 2020 budget money to buy these because they haven't come in yet, right? So we want these to show up in the 2020 budget. So we select that. Now, this checkbox right here says remove, no, it says move remaining unspent funds. So if you're one of those fortunate libraries where if you don't spend it, you can just move that money over to the next year and spend it in the next year, you can check that box. If you're like us, where it's use it or lose it in this year, then you don't check that box because we don't get to add, anything that we didn't spend last year doesn't show up in next year's budget. We just, that's it. So then we click this magic button here and it says, you have chosen to move all unreceived orders from 2016 budget to 2020 budget. Important part to note, this action cannot be reversed. Do you wish to continue? So we are going to say, okay. All right, so this looks a little different than it used to. All right, so did I, what? No, Rhonda, okay. Okay, so I just proved something to you. Don't do what I just did. If we look at this budget, we've got no funds in here. I did not duplicate it. I just created a new budget. That was silly. Okay, so now we can see how to really do it this time. Yikes. Okay, actions. I'm going to delete this one. Delete. That's how not to do it. What you want to do is go to duplicate budget. All right, so we will quickly do this again. And I'm just going to change. That should have been my clue when that wasn't in there. All right. Yeah. So I was like, why? There's supposed to be more questions. All right. So there's a question here, change amounts by, and like if you had a across the board 10% budget increase, let's say, that's the way to go. You can put 10% in here and all your budget amounts from the previous budget will get increased by 10%. Doesn't always happen. Ours usually stays the same. Then the same kinds of things here. Mark the original budget as inactive. We'll do that and set all funds to 0. If every year everything is different, then maybe you want to set all the funds to 0. I can't really think of a instance in our situation where that would be helpful, but maybe for somebody it is. We're not going to set all funds to 0. We're just going to use whatever we had last year. So let's do this. Okay, so now we see our 2016 is in the inactive budgets and our 2020 is in the active budgets. And let's just do this. Look at that. Okay, we've got funds, yay. But what I want you to notice is we've got nothing ordered and nothing spent, which is how it should be when you've got a newly minted budget. Now we're going to go back to budgets. And all right, so we've got our 2016 budget, and one of our actions is to close it. Okay, so again, we see that we've got one fiction book, one nonfiction book that is unreceived at this point. Now we're going to select our 2020 budget. And like I explained before, if you can roll over your money from one year to the next. You want to check that, otherwise not. And then say move unreceived. Same message as last time. Okay. So this looks a little bit better. Here we've got children's fiction. There were no unreceived orders for this fund. It's not saying there was no fund. Look at down here. We've got nonfiction. We've got this order line, I think is what they're called, has been moved, and the fiction one has been moved. So what does this look like? Okay, so all we've got is a back button. Okay, so let's go back. So now we look at the 2020 budget, and we can see those same two things that we saw before in the 2016 budget are now showing up here in the fiction and the nonfiction. And so these will get charged against our 2020 budget. And if we go back to our 2016 budget, we will see that there's nothing left in this ordered, in these ordered columns anymore. They've all been cleared out, and the total available now reflects exactly what we've spent with no orders. Okay, so does anybody have any questions about this? Somebody can watch the chat. I've just got one monitor, so. Sorry about confusing you like that, but.
I don't have questions about the process, and thank you for going through it, because I have to kind of look it up and really feel like I'm doing the right thing every single year.
Yes.
The issue I deal with is we're a use it or lose it kind of budget. And we try to get everything ordered. You know, at the end of the year, we try to tell people don't order things that have pub dates past such and such date, because they won't come in the correct budget year. Mm-hmm. But every year we have some. And this year, I think we've got more because pub dates have been moved out because of unanticipated things.
Yep.
So I find myself spending time looking at my vendor to try and determine, okay, out of this money that's encumbered, how much is now not going to come? And so then I go and figure that out, so that it's like, now I see the amount of money I have encumbered, maybe $200, but now I know that $25 of it isn't going to come. And I have that on multiple funds. And so it's like the amounts I have in my acquisitions table there aren't correct, because I have these adjustments that I have to take care of, and I want to make sure I spend all my money. Mm-hmm. So it's just kind of a manual, long kind of process. Does anybody else deal with that? Does anybody else have a better way to sort of track that kind of thing? I mean, we do try and make sure the pub dates are within the year. It just doesn't always happen. Like, I wish there was a way to go in, and if I had something on order and then I realize it's not going to come within my current year, you know, I'd like some way to flag it, to say, you know, subtract that out of my encumbered because it's on order and I don't want to cancel it, but it's not going to come during this year because now the pub date's moved. It's really going to come out of next year, but I really need to know how much is truly encumbered for the year I'm in, because I want to be able to spend all of my money in my current year and not let it go. But what's encumbered is now actually more than is true. So now I have $25 extra I can go spend on something. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yes, definitely.
I want to say that you might be able to get a report for some of those things. Like if the bib records and item records are up to date and linking that to the acquisitions tables in the database. And then I don't think I could write that report, but I think I know a person or two who might be able to do it. But it'd be an idea to play around with. So I feel like you might be able to get a report and then just link out to the ones where it's, hey, this pub date is not within the range that we're looking for. Go check it out and see if it needs some intervention.
Thanks.
I have a thought. Of course, it's untried, but this is what I would think about is at this point, duplicate your budget and have it just sitting there in it. So let's experiment. So I'm gonna do, no, that's what got me in trouble last time. Okay, so we've got this and I'm gonna duplicate. So this is gonna be like 2021's budget. Okay, so all right, click, 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 click. Okay. Da, da, da. All right, mark the original budget as, no, I want this one to be inactive or active, I don't care which. Okay, so they're both active now. But what you can do, I think, is go into your current budget and you can see, nope, not there. Go to acquisition home. Yeah. Okay, then you can click on this ordered thing and you can go into, whoa, okay. So it's an Amazon order, let's call it this one. Okay, here's what we want to be. And see how, okay. See what we do to reduce the confusion, if you're doing it, coming at it this way, is the fund codes have to all stay the same. But if you go in here and go to, no. Let's see, go here. What was it? One of them was a non-fiction, right? So I'm going to edit this one and call this 21 is what we do, so that you can tell the difference, because otherwise, you know, they all look alike. So these two that we have ordered items on. Okay, so then let's go back to our 2020 budget. Okay, so I'm going to go to Acquisitions Home, and that shows me this screen, and we can see we've got this fiction book. And if I go to this order and I look at these funds, see how this fiction 21 or fiction books 21 shows up? If I select that at this point and save it, okay, here's my little, oh, these are the two that we've got. Okay. Now, if I go back to my acquisitions home, that item is now showing up in the 2021 budget, which is fiction books, and it's no longer showing up here. And now we have a real reflection of what that budget line is. So you could go in, you know, use the report that Margaret is talking about, you know, these are the ones that we've identified with pub dates too far out. Then when you go in, you can actually move them to that next, you know, you have to create this, but you know, you can, it doesn't matter if it's inactive or active at this point in the year, but that'll help you know exactly how much money that you've got. Does that help?
Yes, I think that would be a great help.
Okay. Because I know we did something like that one time where we were going in and, well, I think that I learned about this was when I didn't close out a year and then stuff started coming in and it was going against last year's budget. And that was a lot of fun. So we got to go in and change all those things. So, you know, the more mistakes you make, the more you learn about how things work because you've got to fix your mistakes. That's where
also, once you close a budget,
yep.
Can you go and reopen it and make and do an invoice for something that you didn't expect that really did apply? You're right at the changeover and it really did apply to the previous year, but you thought you were done and so you closed the budget. Can you reopen it and apply it to the previous budget year?
I don't think so, but don't hold me to that. The reason I say that is because of that little line in that little pop-up that says this cannot be reversed.
Right, okay.
That's why I say I don't think so. I would wait to close the budget until, like, for us, October 1st, you know, so that you know what's all been charged, or maybe it needs to be October 3rd or something.
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
what we generally try to do. So it's okay to actually have the two different budgets.
Yep.
Open and active at the same time.
Okay. Yeah, and a lot of times there'll be like a week overlap for us, you know, where we've got both of them kind of going. You know, we'll be ordering off of the 2021 budget for, like, you know, like the last 3 days or whatever of the year, where, you know, there's no chance that these things are going to come in, but we want to get them, you know, we want to get them in the catalog. You know, it's like the latest, you know, Patterson that's coming out or whatever, you know, that everybody's going to want to put holds on.
Well, and a lot of things are published right there in those last, you know, couple weeks in September. Yep. So it makes it pretty difficult. So we have done things where we've placed the order with the vendor, but we don't download the records until we move over to the new budget year, because we're getting processing. So we know it's going to take the vendor, you know, if they're not going to come immediately.
Yep.
So if you had two budgets open,
what I would do, this is what we do, is make sure that your funds are identifiable between the two budgets. And then when you place the order, you could select the 2021 budget for the fund that it goes into. And then, you know, get charged to that.
And that would be with the fund name?
Right.
Because the fund codes need to be identical.
Right. When you roll it over, you need, yeah. So you could, yeah, you could start ordering stuff on there, you know, a week or whatever, you know. We tried, putting a shipping hold on our orders with a vendor. And then we also had requested some programming changes. And so we assumed that they would restart our orders, unfreeze our orders at the first of the year, but they decided in their wisdom that they would wait till the programming change was. So it took us about a week to figure out that we weren't getting any orders coming in. And yeah, that was fun.
We've had the same kinds of things happen.
It's never a dull moment.
Hey, Rhonda?
Yeah.
I did have a few comments come into the
Okay.
chat about this demo, and I know we're coming up on time, and there's still some open time, open-ended questions that we want to get to, right?
Yes, yes.
Michelle did comment that every year I have to compare the status reports from Baker and Taylor and bug the Acquisitions Librarian to create the next year's budget a few months early, so that Michelle can push forward things that are 100% coming in next year's budget.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And the vescobar said, here at ALD, we've had the same problem. Moved orders to this fiscal year to re-encumber the money. And they have a use it or lose it kind of budget as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But,
Yeah.
and the chat will be available with the recording in case anyone wants to go back and read it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that would be, I would play around with, the two open active budgets and see how that works, ordering in advance. Because you can duplicate the budget, and you have to duplicate the budget first before you can close out the old year. So, it doesn't really matter when you duplicate your budget and get the new one in. You might not have the exact numbers as far as the amounts to spend a month ahead. We don't, but you can always go back in and tweak that stuff. That's, that's not a problem. So that would be my suggestion. Yeah, as Margaret mentioned, which somehow we got moving right along here.
Do you want to keep sharing your screen?
I'm sorry?
Do you want to keep sharing your screen?
Probably not. Okay. Okay.
Can I ask you a question, Rhonda? This is
Yes.
from Pascal Libraries. That is not related with the budget though, but that is something we saw when we delete items and then the items delete from the invoice. Is it happening to you guys also, or how do you handle that?
My first question is, when you delete an item, has it been received in Koha or not?
It is received, but after maybe the book gets damaged, or
Right.
like even right now when we were testing, so we created the item, we ordered first, then we did receive the items, and then when we delete it, it shows that the items has been deleted. So for example, 17 items we have ordered. So if we delete 5 items from one record, so then it shows that leftover items will be there, but it will say 5 items deleted in the invoices. If you want, I can also share the screen. I know that you are coming to our library, virtually to give us talk about that. This is one of the issue that they're going to ask.
Okay.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Was the invoice closed as well?
It was. We actually started 2014 when we launched, and then I can show that invoice though if you have time. I know that we have only 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Do you want me to share that?
Yeah. Does anybody else have any other questions?
There is another question that Caroline from Haines Library did post in the chat, and she is going to be migrating to Koha, so everyone can give her a warm welcome.
Yay.
And that question's, hello from Alaska, glad to meet you all. Their library buys all their books from a local bookstore, which is awesome. And not say the Bakers and Taylors and stuff. And how might working with that local bookstore work in Koha acquisitions? Are there any ideas?
Yeah, we use primarily a local bookstore, and then what we can't get from them, we order from Amazon, generally speaking, or from ABE, you know, wherever we can find it at that point. We're a small library, but we do support local business, and that's actually we're a governmental department, which adds another nice little layer onto acquisitions. But that's our government department's policy, is we support local business. Being in a small town in rural Alaska, it's important. So yeah, I have, I don't get to set up bill paying out of Koha. So I can't set up like a transfer of funds. I have to go through my borough. But I was just wondering more about, I guess it's more about budget setups and you know, if we could pay directly with a credit card through Koha. We usually pay that bookstore with a credit card, and it makes her life a lot easier because she has, you know, guaranteed income. We pretty much keep that store in business. And I'm going to mute because I have to take this, sorry.
Okay. Yeah. So,
those are two good questions. I suppose the meeting's still being recorded, so we can hang on as you answer them.
okay. Okay. So the first question that we had, Hasinka, so here we've got your bibliograph. Okay. I am going to say that that is fine, that this isn't a problem, because I was concerned that your money was going away.
No, money was fine. Money was fine.
Okay.
Only you can see that, yeah, go ahead. Like, you know, seven, quantity is 7. So we still have those 3 books. So that means 21 books items we have, but we have 28 items has deleted since the bibliographic record has deleted. So we don't have any titles. So
yeah.
Is it happening to you guys? How you guys are handling this?
Okay, sorry about that. When my borough manager calls, I have to answer.
Yeah. Okay, we're looking at how do you say your name? Hasina?
Yes.
Hasina.
Oh, Hasina.
Okay. Looking at Hasina's screen, and Holly, I'm gonna call you out because I know we've seen these before. These deleted bibliographic records, can't find title. But I am just blanking on what we did to address that. Hasina, I'm gonna talk with Holly, our acquisitions person, and then when I see you guys on Thursday, I'll come with an answer.
Okay, that's fine. So there we have 2 concerns. One is like that deleted bibliographic. Another one is like when if you use acquisition and then you place order, the items right away shows. I think I asked Margaret also, what do you do? Do you suppress it or do you show it like it's visible to people? So those 2 questions you will hear on Thursday probably, just to give you a heads up.
Okay, all right. So, okay, super.
Thanks.
All right, so Barbara all right, so the question that we started to answer was the one.
And I'm sorry, I can bring this up at the next meeting. If
Okay.
we're all pressed for time. That's fine, because we're not going live right now.
Okay. All right, then, yeah. I can actually. Okay, so the question was, where did it go? Buy our books from the bookstore. Oh, okay. How that looks in
That looks in Koha, and whether we can integrate it. Has anybody ever integrated with their Amazon business account? That would be nice to know.
Okay.
And the community can get that integration and like a connection between those two. That would make our lives a ton easier.
So when
Even
you say integration, what are you thinking?
in the Amazon business account, talk to Koha through SIP or some other API.
We've not discovered how to do that.
Okay. Well, then it's more a question. We've never used it. Well, the acquisitions person in our library, who's really good at her job, has never used an acquisitions program. They tried it in Evergreen and hated it.
Oh, okay.
Which doesn't surprise me. And then we migrated onto the Alaska Library Catalog, which is centralized processing in Anchorage. So we chose not to let them control our acquisitions because there's a big push for Anchorage to collect for everybody, and that doesn't fly in independent-minded Alaska.
Yeah.
And I'm glad of that too. I don't want to be a branch of Anchorage. And so we've never really used an acquisitions module in this library.
Okay.
And what I'd like to do is kind of get my feet under me with it before I spring it on my acquisitions person.
Okay.
To be able to show her how easy it's going to be to do what we need to do, or to decide, yeah, that's not going to work for us, so we just will continue to do it the old way.
Okay. Old way, spreadsheets, that kind of thing.
Old way is she hands me a receipt and either she pays it on a credit card or she hands me a receipt for me to pay, and we do that and then walk it over to the Borough Finance office. So
Okay.
it's very low tech here in Haines.
Okay.
Funny,
Right.
Alaska is either both very low tech and very high tech at the same time, because we have to use Zoom a lot and we have to use technology to communicate.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, that might be a really good topic for next
Dealing with
meeting.
non-connected vendors,
Right.
Basic.
Yeah, with non-EDI vendors like
Mhm.
Amazon or a local bookstore. We can definitely, we use both Amazon and our local bookstore for
Mhm.
some of our orders. So I can show you what we do, and then everybody else can, share what they do as well. And we can kind of
We're
use
just
that.
real excited to be part of a community that helps each other out. So
Yeah.
thanks a lot.
Yes, it's priceless. Let me tell you, it's wonderful. And yeah, I'm gonna do like a 1-hour webinar kind of thing with Hasina's library Thursday of this week. But I'd be happy to do that same kind of thing with you, just to kind of walk through that. So if you want to just send me an email, I think you should, hopefully you have my email, or Vice President at koha-US would get it to me as well. And maybe we can just set up a time to just kind of walk through what that looks like. And then at the next meeting, we can kind of do a little bit more.
Yeah, we just had our kickoff meeting yesterday, so we have plenty of time.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, then welcome to Koha. That's
Thank you so much. And it's good to meet you all.
yeah. Okay. Well, we're 5 minutes over here. Thanks everybody for coming, and we can always continue to have discussions through the Google groups during the month. Come up with ideas, things that we want to talk about. Sometime, we can come up with ideas on the Google groups that it's easier to sit and chat about at these monthly meetings. So I'll kind of try and kickstart this blanket PO thing again and see what we can come up with. So have a good month, everyone. Stay healthy and stay safe. And we'll see you all in September. How did that happen? So we'll see you.